Okay, why not to drink ayahuasca? Just personal opinion and experiences. Obviously, I just made a documentary about ayahuasca, which you can watch here if you haven't already, which is sort of a deep dive into the plant medicine. I have no idea. This is just opinions. But ayahuasca definitely has a dark side. And there are certainly reasons not to drink. And it's certainly not the solution to everything. And it's definitely not a quick fix. It's a medicine that's probably being used for the wrong reasons by a lot of people. I have many times seen people go in for the wrong reasons. And often that ends up with a humble pie being eaten by the end of it. It tends to work itself out. But one thing that I've seen many times, and it doesn't work out very well, is when someone has a severely dysregulated nervous system who is going on any strong psychedelic experience. And by the way, I don't normally reference ayahuasca as a psychedelic, more of a visionary plant, but just to use a word that is everyone's pretty familiar with. Any strong psychedelic experience generally is going to rattle the nervous system, and I sort of imagine it like a fuse being blown on a system that doesn't have the capacity to deal with what's being shot through by the rocket ship of such an experience. The actual building of both the resonance and the relationship with the medicine seems very important, and so this seems to mean small doses working their way up, working the relationship up with the plant spirit, rather than just diving in and getting absolutely rocked by the sheer power of such a plant teacher. I mean, what the fuck? So that's the first one. 2 is that it is just being seen as something that is necessary to do on the spiritual path, like it's a trend and you just want to do it because, it's ayahuasca and everyone's doing it, so why not? Because I don't think that ends up very well, and often I don't think it feels like the individual really gets much out of it. And then you might see others go out and power it and say, well, I did ayahuasca, but nothing really happened. I saw some crazy shit, and it made me vomit, and I just went back to living how I normally lived. Intention seems like everything with this, and also that there is a calling where one feels deeply the feeling that the time is right to engage in such a journey, a real hero's journey into death and rebirth. So that's the second intention. Third would be that you don't know who it is really that you're drinking with or where the medicine came from. It's pretty clear that if the container is not held by someone who's really been trained and who is really deeply in connection to spirit and in integrity and has done years and years of training with a lineage that has taught them all the different ways, and the plants have taught them all the different songs and icaros where they're actually able to hold a safe space that is protected both on the physical dimension but also on the higher realms where there are much more malevolent and tricky energies to deal with, whereby if they saw a kind of portal or doorway being open, like it happens, by someone who doesn't really know what they're doing, then you can be in for a complete shit show. Like, just devastating for potentially years afterwards, you know, with the individual trying to digest or clean what it is that came through in such an experience. Knowing who it is and where the medicine's coming from, knowing their background, what's their actual training, what's the intention behind the container, how is it going to be run, and where does the medicine come from? Very important. The next one is you're romanticizing ayahuasca. So whether it's the medicine that you believe is going to heal everything, now you've watched all these documentaries about it, you believe it's the ultimate solution, the expectation is it's going to solve all of your problems, then it might not be the right thing for you, because in my experience, the ayahuasca is only ever showing you your potential. It's what could be. It might show you best versions of yourself and healed versions of yourself. And yes, you may go through some spiritual surgeries where there appears to be some very deep, energetic rewiring and cleaning going on with you. But I've seen time and time again how these are only very temporary for people that are approaching ayahuasca with any of the last reasons that I mentioned, or that there's a romanticizing of it as being like the solution for the world's problems, because there's both sides. There's the healing side of it, which I actually feel is largely dependent on the people and the container that's actually being held for the healing to happen. Like, there's a certain vibration that is coming through with the medicine before it's actually healing others, and it's not just in this chaotic party, let's say, where all the intentions are sort of wrong. It's just this hedonistic exploration of some drug, and then the work is not really happening. It could also be that there's a romanticizing of the culture. You know, that there's also, on the other side, there's an obsession with the native and the indigenous cultures that have found ayahuasca and have lineages around the medicine, which are being looked to as being the ultimate way, in the sense that it can be quite elitist, where people are like, oh, you know, you drank medicine in Spain? Well, I actually went to Peru and did it with Shipibo shaman in the jungle who has barely had contact with humanity in the Western world. And we did 25 ceremonies together, not just 4. And I can see this kind of like spiritual one-upmanship of like, you know, who can get the most authentic experience or deepest experience going on. And, you know, it's a sensitive topic, and I just think it comes back to the intention behind it. What's the reason behind the inclination towards undergoing such an experience? Some people think, well, yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work for me, then, you know, it just doesn't work for me. You know, I really want to try it so I can tick it off my to-do list. But there's a worst case scenario, which is not that it just doesn't work, it's that it is not the right time for you, and it catalyzes a spiritual emergency where you go through a kind of psychosis where you need real help from people around you to help you digest and integrate back into, you know, life again as it was before you drank it. So the consequences are rather high. And so the last thing I'd say is just coming back to discernment, like an intuition, that you're able to intuit the reasons for why you're going there, the center that you're going with that feels right, the people that are serving it, that your intuition is right. You feel safe around those people. You understand what's going on here, why they're doing this, why you're doing this, your intuition behind it, and that everything aligns in all of these areas for it to feel right for you to go. And then there's a clear way, and then probably you're being called towards it, and probably it's going to work out for you. But yeah, I'm learning all the time. This is a small summary of just some thoughts that are just coming up right now because I didn't plan this video, and I just think they're important to note because, you know, the documentary that's on the channel was made 2 years ago, and I couldn't cover all topics in an hour's feature-length documentary. I wish I could, and maybe there'll be more content about it. But yeah, these are some reasons not to be drinking ayahuasca. Maybe you have some more. Maybe you see some flaws in some of the reasons that I've given, and maybe you want to comment those below. Thanks for listening if you got this far, and subscribe if you'd like to. Thanks.